All right, so here's the next lesson. It's similarity in right triangles. Some places it's known as mean proportional, MEAN. So if you want to look it up for another video explaining it, you can do that. So pretty much what it says is that if you start off with a right triangle, so let's see here. Oh, my pen's not on. Let's turn it on. So it says, if you start with a right triangle, so here's the right triangle. Actually, I'm going to make it thinner. So ABC was the original right triangle. And then you draw in an altitude. So an altitude goes from the vertex perpendicular to the opposite side. But the altitude that you draw has to be drawn to the hypotenuse. What happens is you end up with 3 right triangles. You end up with what I call the little one. So that's a right triangle. You have a medium one. And then, of course, you have that larger big one. So you have 3 right triangles. Okay, that's the way I'm going to label them. I'm going to label them little, medium, big. So what I'm going to do on the side here in this empty space is I'm going to draw that little one. I'm going to draw the medium one. And then I'm going to draw the big one. Now, the way I draw it, I always have the smallest leg on the bottom, the medium or the second longest leg on the left, and I always have the hypotenuse on the right. That's the way I draw it to make it a little bit easier visually. Okay, so in terms of the green triangle, this is going to be the little green triangle. Let's label it. So the little leg is what I label first. So the little leg here is DC. And the tip up there is B. And the right angle is right there. Okay, now let's look at the pink triangle. This is going to be the pink triangle. Look for that right angle. And then look for the little leg. So there's the right angle of the pink. And the little leg there is BD, D being the right angle. So this would have to be D, and this would be B, which means the tip then would be A. And then, of course, you have the largest blue triangle, which we outlined first. Okay, look for that right angle. So the right angle there was at B, so I'm going to put B down here. The little leg right here is BC, so C goes there, and then the tip up at the top there is A. Okay, the reason why you need to do that is because, you know, the smallest leg in the green triangle, DC, will correspond to the smallest leg, DB, and the smallest leg here, BC, and so on and so forth. So you want to draw it for yourself so that you can see it that way, and then you can make the proportions. All right, so we're going to do that in number 1. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. Identify the similar triangles in the diagram, then sketch them so the corresponding sides and angles have the same orientation. So it's pretty much exactly what we did. So I'm going to look for that little triangle again. That little triangle is right there. And I'm going to draw that triangle. I'm going to draw it so that the bottom is the shortest leg and the right side is the hypotenuse. So the right angle in the green triangle is S, the little leg goes out to R, and then the top here goes to Q. All right, and then I'm going to do the pink triangle, which is the medium triangle right there. I'm going to draw that right next to it. Okay, look for the right angle. So the right angle is right there, and that's the letter S. Look for the little leg. So this is the little leg. S goes out to Q. And then the tip up there is P. And then last but not least, you have the big original right triangle before that altitude was drawn. So I'll draw that right here. Look for the right angle, Q. The little leg goes from Q to R. And then the hypotenuse is going to be RP. So now you have your 3 triangles. Okay, you have your 3 right triangles, and you can make your proportions from that. So we'll start with number 2. Find the value of x. So what you need to realize here is that There once was one big right triangle. We drew in an altitude. That altitude split the one triangle into 3 similar right triangles. So I'll start with the green. Now it's going to be difficult because they all are a little bit rotated. So if you pay attention, the right angle is here. Okay, that height there is going to be over here, which is x. I'm going to outline it here. The hypotenuse is 9. Okay, now I'm going to color in the pink triangle. And I'm going to draw that triangle over here. So look for that right angle. The right angle is right there. And they share this leg right there. So the smallest side of the pink triangle is x, but the x is going to go down here now. Okay, the hypotenuse of that one is 12. So I'm going to put the 12 here. And then there's that big blue triangle. Look for the right angle. I'm going to actually erase this so we see the big one a little bit better. There it is. I'm going to outline it in blue. So we're only focusing on this one. Look for the right angle. Right angle is here. Look for the shortest side. Shortest side is here, 9. So that's going to go on the bottom. That's my shortest side there. The hypotenuse is 15 because that's across from that right angle. And then the other leg is 12. All right. Now, what I like to do is find that x and look for the pair of corresponding sides. So I have the left side of this triangle. Well, I have the left side here. So that's good. And then I have the hypotenuse here. I have the hypotenuse there. I also have the hypotenuse there. So ultimately, I think what I'll use is this triangle and this triangle because they have the 2 pairs that match up. So x over 12 equals 9 over 15. Okay, so left side over left side, hypotenuse over hypotenuse. And then you're going to cross multiply and solve. So you're going to get 15x equals 12 times 9, and 12 times 9 is 108. Divide both sides by 15, and you get 7.2. Okay, I'm going to put an or here. I hope this doesn't confuse you, but I'm going to highlight here this x with this 9. And now you actually see that we have a different pair. We have the x in the blue corresponding to the 9 in the blue. And then we have the 12 in the pink corresponding to the 15. So in this case, you actually could do it this way as well. But if you notice, when you cross multiply, you're going to get 15x equals 12 times 9 again, which is that same 108. So you still get that same 7.2. So not always do you have a choice. In this particular case, they gave you a lot of information in this original picture. So you actually had 2 choices of proportions, but if you notice, you get the same answer. All right, here we go. Make it bigger so my handwriting is not as bad. Okay, look for your triangles. So here's my little. Look for your right angle. The smallest side here is this 5, so I'm going to put that on the bottom. The height here is x, and the hypotenuse we don't know. So I'm not going to put anything there. The medium triangle is right here. So I'm going to draw a medium. Make your right angle. Okay, look for the shortest side of this pink triangle. So the shortest side is your x, so it's going to go on the bottom. The height is your 20, and again, we don't know the hypotenuse. So right away, you already see that we have a pair, but I'm still going to draw that big triangle before it was cut. Okay, so for that one, all we know is that the hypotenuse is 25. We don't know any of the other legs. So this one's pretty easy because you see the x corresponds with the 20, left side over left side, and then the 5 corresponds with the x, bottom over bottom. So there's my proportion. X over 20 equals 5 over x. When we cross multiply, we get x squared equals 100. Opposite of squaring is square rooting. Now what's important here that you realize is actually get two answers, positive and negative, but we are going to reject the negative. Therefore, x is just equal to positive 10. Now the reason we reject a negative is because you can't have a negative length. So that's why there's only one answer for this problem. There's two answers for x for this proportion here, but there's only one x for the actual problem. Okay, number 4. Little triangle. It's really teeny over here. I'm going to erase that. That's really sloppy. Little. That's even sloppier, but oh well. Bottom of it is x. Hypotenuse is 5. Now we know it's the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle here. Alright, medium triangle. Right here. So really that medium triangle, well, if this whole thing is 25 and a piece of it is x, the hypotenuse is actually going to be 25 minus x, but I don't think we're going to have to use that. Let's look at the bigger picture. Bigger picture is right there. Okay, make a big right triangle. The bottom, or the shortest piece of it, is 5. The hypotenuse here is 25. So boom, there's our pairs. We have x right here with the 5 right here. We have the 5 right here with the 25 right there. So there's our proportion. We'll do x over 5 equals 5 over 25. Again, cross multiply. So 25x is equal to 5 times 5, which is 25. Divide both sides by 25, x is 1, which should make sense because this is really tiny here. All right. Number 5. Little. And my assignments are coming up now on Google Classroom, hence the notifications. Okay, the smallest piece there is 2. We don't know anything else. The medium triangle. Okay, the shortest leg is there. We don't have it. The height there, we actually do have. If this whole thing is 8 and a piece of it is 2, we would do 8 minus 2, which means this piece here is 6. So right along the left side there, we'll put a 6. And the hypotenuse is x. Looks like we're going to need that third triangle because as of right now, we don't have a matching pair. I'm going to erase this to look at the bigger picture. So if you look at the bigger picture here, that's your original right triangle. Before the hypotenuse, the altitude was drawn. Okay, the height there is x, so it's going to go on the left. We don't know the bottom, and we know the hypotenuse of the big pink triangle is 8. Now remember, the hypotenuse is always the longest side, and it's across from the right angle, so that's how you can find it. So, left 6, left x, hypotenuse x, hypotenuse 8. So we have the left side of those two and the hypotenuse of those two. So 6 over x equals x over 8. Oh, this is going to bring us to a good algebra lesson. So we get x times x, which is x squared, equals 6 times 8, which is 48. Okay. Opposite of squaring is square rooting. Now, we're not going to get a nice whole number. We're going to break 48 down into two numbers that multiply to 48. We did a little bit of this when we did the distance formula. I'm going to break 48 down into 16 and 3. 16 times 3 is 48, and 16 is a perfect square. This right here is a perfect square. The square root of 16 is going to give me plus minus 4. And then you have your rad 3. Again, we are going to reject the negative. Therefore, x is just equal to 4 rad 3. Now, on the Regents, if they have multiple choice, you could plug 4 rad 3 into your calculator. Actually, you could also plug radical 48 into your calculator, and they will both give you the same value. If you round it, it's going to give you 6.9282. 6.9282. Okay? So they mean the same thing. One is just an exact answer, and this one's a rounded answer. All right, number 6. Little, medium, big. Here we go. Little. Okay, the bottom or the smallest is x. We don't know the height. The hypotenuse is 6. Medium. We actually don't know anything about the medium. We can get an expression for the for this leg here would be 12 minus x. But most likely we're not going to need that. And then of course your bigger picture. So I'm going to erase this. Bigger picture is here. When you draw it, the right angle's on the left. The shortest piece is on the bottom, so the shortest piece here is 6. The leg here we don't know, but the hypotenuse is 12. Hope you see the pair. We got our bottom x, bottom 6, hypotenuse 6, hypotenuse 12. So x over 6 equals 6 over 12. We're going to cross multiply here, 12 times x. 12x, 6 times 6, 36, divided by 12, x is equal to 3. 4 more. We got this. Okay. Now, in this case, they almost look like they're the same size. So, I guess the left middle big won't really work here. But when you redraw it, you'll see you really have no other option. So in this case, the hypotenuse here is x. Okay, and it looks like this is a little bit longer, so I'm going to put on the left here 4. Now, this one, you don't have anything there, so there's no point of even drawing it. So I'm just going to skip right over to the big picture, which is right there. We know the hypotenuse is 16, and it looks like the left side there is going to be an x. So left over left, hypotenuse over hypotenuse. 4 over x, x over 16. Cross multiply. We get a nice number here. We get x squared is equal to 64. 64 is a perfect square. You get plus or minus 8. We reject the negative, therefore x is equal to just 8. Alright. I ordered a Surface Pro, so hopefully my writing is a little bit neater next week when I do my work on that instead of my son's Mini. Middle. So that one we only know the hypotenuse. Middle. My answer keys are a lot neater without the actual reporting behind it. So if you go in the keys folder, I've uploaded the answer keys done without my voice, obviously. Okay, so the shortest side is down here, so we don't know that. But we know that this height here is 7. Oh, actually, we do know something about the little pink triangle. Because if we know this whole thing is 12 and this piece is 7, 12 minus 7 will give us 5. So we know that the bottom here is going to be 5 of the pink. In case we need that. Alright, erase all of this to see the bigger picture. do some green. Okay, so in terms of the bigger picture, hypotenuse is 12, the shortest is x. All right, so we needed that 5. Good thing we got it. So bottom, bottom, hypotenuse, hypotenuse. Bottom, bottom, 5 over x equals hypotenuse, hypotenuse, x over 12. Make sure you're doing the order the same. So if I went from the little to the big, I have to go from little to big, and then the other one little to big. All right, cross multiply, 5 times 12, which is going to give me 60, and then x times x, which is x squared. All right, so another case of square rooting. Okay, so we're going to break down 60 into two numbers that multiply to 60. One of them a perfect square. So 4 and 15 are going to work. And then the square root of 4 is 2. So plus or minus 2. And then rad 15 stays in the radical. All right, we reject the negative. So therefore, x is equal to 2 radical 15. Again, you can work backwards on the multiple choice by plugging 2 rad 15 into your calculator. Okay, or radical 60 right off the bat in the calculator. These two values are going to be the same. They're both going to be 7.74597. Okay, you can ask me any questions on these things when I do the Zoom live on Mondays. You can say, can you help me with number 9? And I'll go back to it, or whatever the case may be. 2 more. Little. Okay, so here's the right angle. That means the hypotenuse is x, and the shortest leg was 8. Medium. Medium doesn't have too much info, except that the longer leg is 24. Now you can use your common sense when you're looking. You know, the shortest side is going to be the bottom, the longest side is going to be the left, and the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. And then I'm going to erase this and look at the bigger picture. How many times did I say bigger picture? Okay. So this is the hypotenuse, which is 24 plus 8, which is 32. Okay. And it looks like this is the shortest leg, common sense wise, because it's shorter than this. So the shorter leg goes on the bottom in our picture, which there's our pair. Ooh, I'm very sparkly, but I'm also, oops, that was, I believe, an 8. Okay, so 8 bottom over bottom, 8 over x, and then hypotenuse over hypotenuse, x over 32. So 8 over x, x over 32. Cross multiply. X times x is x squared, and 8 times 32 is 56. Now you might not know, but if you do the square root of 26, it actually gives you a nice whole number. Gives you 16. Okay, so we reject the negative. Therefore, x is just equal to positive 16. Last one. Woohoo! Yay. Little, medium, big. There's our little. Smallest is 2. Height is x, and we don't know the hypotenuse. Medium. You know what you guys can do is you can always pause this, try it on your own, and then check your answer with mine to see if you got the same thing as me. Okay, smallest leg here is x, so that's going to go on the bottom. This right here is the other leg, so it's going to go on the left. That is not a nice looking 12. And then this is the hypotenuse of the pink triangle, but we don't know it. But if you look, we already have our pair. Bottom over bottom, left over left. So if you wanted to draw the big right triangle, the original right triangle, the bottom of it we don't know, the side of it we don't know, but the hypotenuse of it was 14, which we don't have anything else. So we're going to stick with the 2 over x and the x over 12. Last cross multiplication. X times x, x squared, 12 times 2, 24. Opposite of squaring is square rooting. Uh-oh, 24 is not perfect. So we're going to break it down. Two numbers that multiplied 24, one of them a perfect square, is 4 and 6. Okay, square root of 4 is going to give me plus minus 2. Rad 6 stays rad 6. We reject the negative. Therefore, x is 2 rad 6. Now, again, one last time, if you plug in the square root of 24 and 2 rad 6, you're going to get the same decimal equivalent, which is 4.89898. It all depends on the directions. If they say simplest radical form, you give them this. If it says rounded to the nearest whatever, you give them that. But either way, if you do any of these, you get some points. Some points are better than no points. I bet you didn't miss me saying that. And that's about it. All right, I'm going to post this, link it to YouTube, and hopefully it has helped you. I hope you all are well. Bye.